This is the part where it says it presents, and then...
Well, baby, now
Well, here we are. Tim driving, uncensored, number 4. It's kind of a sundown drive, and coming back from Washington, D.C. after going to the Walk Away March, which was very fun, very interesting. It was, there was a dinner at Trump Tower, or hotel. Got an umbrella as a souvenir, which I thought was cool. Really, I gotta say, man, every time I go into DC, there's just a vibe there that I just don't like. I can't shake. It's just, I don't know, man. It's just a seemingly dark place. I don't know what it is. It's just depressing. It's just like a bad vibe. And the dude that I went with, he was saying the same thing. It's just like, this is just like, it seems nobody wants to be there. It's just like a miserable town. It really is. I don't know what it is. But the Walk Away March was interesting. Got some videos that I'll be posting on that as soon as I can. Try to keep them, timely. You guys are missing a very interesting sky as the sun goes down. There's low clouds. Kind of partly cloudy. Very interesting looking sky. You guys won't appreciate me describing it. Maybe you can see some of it out the windows and stuff. But Walk Away March was good. It was interesting. No like counter protesters and stuff, because it was a lot of people that you'd normally think would be protesting, but it was a lot of like peace and love, and a lot of like hippies there. A lot of people from the West Coast had come. And it was just an interesting crowd. It was interesting to see people with all those kind of just people who recognize hate where hate is, no matter whether it's coming from the left or the right, and just kind of walking away from all of that negativity. That just seems to be coming mainly from the media, which is mostly leftist and about the right, and it's just crazy time. And then while that was going on, they got wind of the synagogue shooting in Pittsburgh, and then there was like a moment of silence. And none of that will be televised, none of it will be advertised, because it was just such a peaceful, well-organized thing. And at the dinner, there was a bunch of people that just talking about the fact that they're just kind of tired of all the negativity that is, predominantly coming from the left, aimed at like getting people riled up and getting people at each other's throats. It's just really weird. But just DC in general, it's just a strange place. Like all these monuments to people that really, personally, I don't know if some of them should have monuments to them. Usually that seems to be the way it goes in foreign countries, that there's always these monuments that are erected to make it look like the people really idolized or cared about or stood behind unanimously a particular person that really wasn't somebody who brought a lot of people together. So, I don't know. It's just a weird town. Very weird town. Talking about stuff today, I mean, I don't know. I just hope people chill out a little bit. Wait till the facts come in and stop getting into these reactions, because there is a group of people out there that just are trying to get us at each other's throats. The encouraging thing, though, is that a lot of these people are losing steam. They're losing ground. The only problem that I see developing as more and more people kind of reject these tactics coming from mainly the left, aimed at the right in the United States, is the only positive thing I see, or the negative thing that I see, is we start to become like kind of a uniparty. So there's a danger of people just kind of voting red during a time like this, and then you're not paying attention to who you're voting for that says they're on the right or says they stand. That once it becomes easy to predict what the electorate wants to hear, anybody can go out there and just say what the electorate wants to hear, what they think they want them to hear, and then boom, they're shooting to the front of the front of the heap. So that's also kind of a dangerous territory to get into, I think, personally. What else? Continuing to build this kind of platform with my buddy who I was with this weekend. Just like a lot of good ideas, a lot of interesting ideas. We just need to kind of focus it and get on a schedule and start churning out content. And over the next month, we're going to try and really get this platform in place where people can have logins and comment, and it will be very, very, very open for free speech and all that jazz. I think we're trying to hit that goal of having 2,000 to 4,000 people. Our ultimate goal would be $4,000 a month. If we can make $4,000 a month, so I only want to do $1. If people donate $1, we'll be pumping out all kinds of content. And try to keep it ad free so that we can just keep it totally free for everybody to say what they want to say and be there. Speaking of people saying what they want to say, I like to listen to kind of the mainstream media just to see what the general populace is being fed and what kind of ideas they're having pumped into their heads. And one of the things I noticed, going back to the synagogue shooting, that one of the things that I noticed is that somebody was saying they were listing Gab.ai, which is a very pro-free speech platform, and it's kind of like a lot of people don't go on it because it's a little bit of an echo chamber, which it is. It's kind of a lot of people that are agreeing with each other, although this guy was you'd think it's all pro-Trump people, but this guy apparently had, or so they're telling us, had anti-Trump sentiment in him, the guy who did the shooting in Pittsburgh. And the thing that I found strange about the news is, I think it was CNN, but they were basically saying, they were Gab allows all these terrible people to have a platform to say what they want to say and post whatever they want to post. And it's all these neo-Nazis and white nationalists and all this stuff. And they're saying this all. And then seconds later, they're they will be using all his past posts as evidence and stuff. And I was then isn't that good? Isn't it good that there's a platform that isn't censoring and keeping these people off their platform? Because then if you allow people to say whatever it is they want to say, and you give them a platform where they can say whatever they want to say, isn't that good? Because then you have a whole plethora of posts and evidence, and you can keep tabs on these people if you want to, because they're willingly putting it up there. And anybody that tunes in or sees it can find out what they've been saying and then look back at it. Isn't that good? I just don't see how you can condemn a place for having a hard stance on free speech, then simultaneously say, but we're going to use all this stuff as evidence. So it's isn't that good? If Jack Dorsey's out there on Twitter deleting people like this from his platform, that's just going to make them angrier. It's going to push them further into the shadows and make them feel even more alienated from the rest of society. And then as a result, they might get more and more frustrated, and then they'll seek out some other platform. You know what I mean? So I just don't understand. It's just so many double standards when it comes to people running their platforms and their stances on quote-unquote free speech, because they don't actually believe in free speech. They believe in you saying what they want you to say. So they censor you in order to push you to say what they think you should be saying, not maybe what you want to say. But it's a couple people have asked me like how I feel about it, what my views are on the whole thing, and to be honest, like I don't have nearly as much information as I should to have an opinion on it right now. And I think that a lot of people will just assume they've heard everything after a 5-minute clip on mainstream media. Well, I've heard all I need. You know, I don't know. It's so negative to think that way about any human being. You know, that's why I started doing these, so that you could get some long, interrupted conversation to see a little bit more of a real representation of what it might be like to sit down and have a conversation with me. And trust me, they're all just as one-sided as this is. Ask anybody. I never shut up. That is something that I always have to work on, is like, you've been talking for a while, shut up. Listen. Ask some questions and listen. But when you spend as much time as like some and I've always kind of been freelancing or whatever, so I'm always like working from like kind of like shut off areas that are a little bit alienated, and that's an important thing to remember. Is that
Welcome to.
Thank you. So that's an important thing to remember, is that you should be doing as much listening as you're talking. Actually, something my dad used to tell me was, said when you're at a party, when you're having a conversation, just ask questions. Just ask a bunch of questions. Let the other person do all the talking, and then at the end of the night, you'll leave, and they'll be like, "Oh, that guy was really nice," and they'll know nothing about you. All they'll know is that you allowed them to talk about themselves, and therefore everything's good. You know, they got to talk about themselves a bunch, and now they're happy, and you left them with a good feeling, and then that's why they like you, and that's very true. It's a very true statement. What else can we talk about? I'll tell you, it's starting to become. We're just heading into winter. Well, we're heading into the fall, late fall, heading into winter soon, and I realize I'm kind of a seasonal type. I'm a very seasonal person. I'm very like certain seasons I feel creative and want to feel driven to do things. I'm trying to make that a year-round feeling. But it's sometimes in the summer all I want to do is read and study and stuff, and then do a whole bunch of filming in the winter and feel very driven to do a whole bunch of stuff. And of course, that's not what people are doing. But this winter, I think my buddy and I we're really gonna make a go for it. So if anybody's out there that's appreciating the content I'm making, we're gonna be producing much more interesting content. The two of us are in the same place and working together. He's kind of going through he's getting kind of a rough spot right now. He's going through a whole bunch of personal things, which is tough, because you always when you're working with people or you find people to work with, you always, or at least let me speak personally here. I always try to find somebody who's going to keep me driven to keep going. But that's just not how any relationship, working, personal, friendship, romantic, anything, it's just not how they work. People hit peaks and valleys at different times. The trick is to find out how to keep each other motivated, how to be like, okay, he's not motivated now, I'll keep him motivated. I'll be the one. It's up to me now. And then maybe you'll go through a slump, and then that person will be like, come on, let's go do some stuff. Okay. That's a tough dynamic to find, but when you find it and it works, and I think he and I we're still getting to know each other's work. routines and how each of us work. So as a result, you just have to get to the point where you're both you know what's up, and you're keeping each other motivated, and that you're working together. But even though you're working together, sometimes one of you has to be the one putting in certain types of work because the other one just isn't able to do it, or they're not in the mood, or they're not comfortable in their skin at that moment. You have to like egg them on and make them feel comfortable. So that's a dynamic that we're still working out, and I think we have very similar outlooks. I'm more of a bloomer, he's more of a doomer, but c'est la vie. What are you gonna do? He's also a Gemini, so he's out of his mind sometimes. I'm not really one of those people that adheres to the whole. I think there's obviously some patterns amongst the when people are born and what kind of mindsets they get into, but I also think there's a huge amount of influence that has happened over time where people are like, because they read constantly that that's the type of person the stars have dictated that they are, that's the type of person that they are. It's like almost like self-programming. But one way or the other, I do think there is some weird designs that are going on in people's personalities and stuff, and it is related to lunar stuff. That is why they call it lunacy. That's why people are crazy during full moons. When people are like, it's a full moon, a lot of crazy. The animals are acting different. People are acting weird. That's where the word lunacy comes from, because it's based on a lunar model. I think that's also like something that, because we've gotten away from like the lunar calendar, and like now we have a calendar that's just like more based numerically almost, and it's not really based on the moon going around us, it's about us going around the sun. I think that's a little bit, it's kind of thrown people off a little bit. I think there's still some evolutionary things that are tied to a lunar calendar that people don't necessarily, they don't really look into it that much anymore. I don't know. I'm not like some crazy hippie head case, but at the same rate, I am a believer in an intelligent designer, and I am a Christian. So like, to some people, that's just as crazy. But I'll be covering like more of my personal Christian beliefs on some of my other programming and stuff, where I can sit down and kind of map it out and give it to you guys in a nice, concise, digestible way, so that you could be like, oh, let me send this to so-and-so. This is an entertaining 10, 20 minutes that kind of...
In a quarter mile.
Kind of... I'm gonna cut some things right there so that you don't know exactly where I am in terms of driving. Like anybody could probably figure out the areas in which I am. So the lady's gonna come back and she... So I'm just cutting out some of those things, and so that a little bit of mystery is...
Continue.
So sorry, I was just cutting out a little bit of a portion there when it came to the GPS is on, so she was kind of giving away my route a little bit. So as I said, I'm driving back from Washington, D.C. I gotta say though, those monuments are pretty. They're nice. This guy is riding my bumper. I don't understand that mentality. Driving. Let's talk about driving real quick. When you're driving, some people drive very aggressively and they don't know they're driving aggressively. Other people drive aggressively because they're running late. You are not going to make up any significant amount of time by driving aggressively. All you're going to do is increase the likelihood you will get into an accident. To anybody out there, when you're driving, drive calmly. If you're angry, pull over until you're no longer angry. I once was driving through Connecticut at like 3 in the morning on 91, and I was literally I had to avoid a severed foot in my lane. Somebody had, and then I looked up later to what happened. Somebody, it sounded like a suicide or something. Somebody went out in the highway and got hit by a car. I went by the people, they looked very shaken. I saw the foot and then I looked away because I just was like, I can't stomach this right now. And I had to avoid it. I must have been 3 or 4 cars behind when it, I wasn't that far behind when it happened because the cops had just gotten there. And then I pulled over. When I got a little bit further away, I pulled over and was like, I gotta sit here for a second. And I would encourage anybody to do that. You know, if you find yourself like not in the right headspace, don't be behind the wheel. You're in charge of your life, and you can affect a lot of other people's lives. It's not worth it. Don't ever drive impaired. You know, just know your limits, and make sure that you're not ever operating a vehicle at a time that you don't think you can operate it to your fullest ability. There's some people out there whose fullest ability still isn't that good. So, you know, just kind of know your limits. When it comes to driving, you know, there's a lot of young kids too. If you're a young dude, it's not worth it. The risk, it's not worth it to drive like a maniac. And I think that, you know, you should always be mindful of the fact that you're in charge of your life, and you might be in charge of somebody else's life. If you have somebody else in the car especially, drive like their life matters to you. Drive like you are in charge of it, because you are. You know? That being said, I think there's way too many regulations when it comes to the road and what you can drive on the road and how fast you can drive, all that stuff. I still think there's a huge amount of dumb things that have been put upon drivers that has kind of taken the responsibility out of your hands, and as a result, everybody acts like they can drive like a maniac. You know what I mean? Like mandatory insurance. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. People, when they have insurance, they act like, oh, whatever, insurance pays for it, no big deal, you know, and it screws everybody. I'm not saying you shouldn't want to have the concept of insurance on your side by any means. It's obviously very useful. But why would you, when you're forcing people to get it, the majority of people are like, whatever, I got insurance, and then they drive like a-holes. It's like, dude, the whole point is to not make your insurance go up, and it screws everybody else that's in that same company. But insurance in itself is like a huge scam. It's all built on fear. Anyway. I feel like this one hasn't been as good. I kind of was like, you know, I'm just in a funk, and I just was filming the past couple days, so I'm just not as gung-ho as I am right now. It's also a little later in the day. You know, I like to do these earlier. The next one will be better. And if you hadn't watched 3, that one was pretty good. That one was a good one. I thought, anyway. You know, it was funny. Kept things going. Oh, I slept on the floor. It's only in one bed in the hotel room because it's cheaper that way. But man, my neck is all stiff. I I appreciate having a bed. I'll say that. I appreciate the old folks letting me live with them. Because having a bed is quite a luxury. It's the first time I've been sleeping in a bed regularly for many, many years. And I make it every morning because I know what a privilege it is to have one. It is a privilege to have a bed. But sometimes you got to sacrifice a bed to get the other thing, to do the other things that you want to do. But I'm out of practice sleeping on the floor. I used to be really good at sleeping on the floor, sleeping on my back, and not moving, just sleeping on my back all night. So now my back's all wacky. But it'll get better. It'll get better. Yeah, so stay tuned for, those upcoming videos that I'm making. One of them's going to be really weird and interesting, I think. It's a good blend of reality and kind of fantasy, which is like what I like to do. I like to take reality and kind of blend it with like a character story or something like that, and trying to blur the lines between reality and fiction. Like CNN does. So, I will leave you with this song recommendation. Check out, I was just listening to something. There's I've been finding a lot of good, like, punk bands, like emo-y, pop punk bands and stuff. Here's a good one. Sometimes You Meet the Right Person at the Wrong Times. I think that's what it's called, by Can't Swim. Check out Can't Swim if you don't know Can't Swim. And the song is Sometimes You Meet the Right People at the Wrong Time, or the right person at the wrong time, whatever. Sometimes You Meet the Right. That's all I can see on the thing, but it's by Can't Swim. Check it out. They have a new album coming out soon. If you liked the last suggestion, you'll probably like this one. But Can't Swim's had like a couple albums out. Check them out. All right, everybody. Thanks for riding with me for a little bit. This is my evening wear, and I'm glassesless, which is something I do occasionally. I can see well enough without glasses to drive without glasses. I passed my license examination without them, so that I can drive without them. But I will talk to you guys next time. And, keep tuning in to timstabers.com, because I definitely think I'm being shadow banned and watched very closely on Instagram. So my Tim Stabers Instagram will probably be shut down soon, but then they shut down my real name and my real face. They have no problem shutting you down if you're hiding behind some fake account. They delete those all the time. That's why I think personally, I'm not going to say things or spread ideas privately that I wouldn't also stand behind publicly. So that's why I don't do the fake accounts. I might have other ones that are secret accounts, but I would encourage anybody to start stepping up to the plate with some of these controversial ideas, especially because we know a lot of them are true or valid. Start standing behind them. That's how we're going to win, by standing out there and with our face first, and not being afraid to say what's right and what's true. All right, so keep your, stay positive, everybody, and I still don't have a sign off for this. Bye!